welcome to Kweshunga. Thank you so much for coming back to the show. We are so excited to host you yet again. I am super excited because we are talking about, okay, I said the art of hosting was my favorite topic, but the art of spaces is definitely my favorite topic because I love spaces. I thrive on spaces. It's like magic is created in spaces, and these spaces don't have to be physical. They can be mental, they can be heart spaces, they can be virtual. And I am delighted that this entire month we are talking about the art of spaces. The last 2 weeks we had the privilege of hosting someone from the interior design space. We also had the privilege to host someone from the event space. She does weddings and organizes events. And today, I am so delighted to host one of my favorite people. So I keep saying favorite things and favorite people. You just need to bear with me because everyone is my favorite person. So this one is my real favorite person. And I love how her mind works. And so today we are talking about the art of mind space. How do we prepare our minds? How do we take care of our minds? How do we get our minds to function at 100? And this person is none other than Isabella Akiteng, who I have known for many years. I shall not say how many because you will start guessing our age. But without telling you our age, Isabella, you're very welcome to Question.
You're welcome, and I'm happy to be here.
Us.
Thank you, and thank you for hosting me.
You're welcome. So I like talking about your mind, and I think that everyone that I have interacted with, I have said, I have this intelligent friend. I have this friend of mine who just, her mind works like she is over on some time machine, but we will get into that. Tell us who you are, because there are people who don't know you and they're joining us, listening in or watching us for the very first time. Who's Isabella? What does Isabella do? Why is Isabella intelligent? How did Isabella become intelligent? All those things.
So my name is, like you said, Isabella Akiteng, and I keep saying that Akiteng means cow, so people who are shungaring.
She says that all the time.
They
Her
are
name means
coming
cow.
to oppress me that my name means a cow. So yes, cow. So Akiteng Isabella, and I'm a Ugandan. I work at Farmport. I work with you, just in case you forgot. We work together. We see each other 5 days a week or more. Away from working at Farmport, where I head programs, I teach Sunday school, and so it's a beautiful thing that I do all these serious, interesting things with you, but then I can go and just enter a whole new world with kids. And so, yeah, I work at Farmport, but I also take my teaching of Sunday school and dealing with kids very seriously. Yeah. I also identify as a feminist and as a Christian feminist, to be very precise.
We shall not talk about the Christian feminism. That will be for a whole other show because there's a lot of controversy out there around being Christian and being feminist. But I love the mind space because one of the things the mind helps us to do is to create. And one of the people we hosted a few weeks ago said she boasts because she feels like she's in the creating department with God. Yes. And our minds take us to spaces. They wander, they go to places that we would ordinarily not go to physically. And so I just want to tap into how you prepare your mind for different things. You said you do serious work at Farmport. You work with children,
which is also serious
Sunday school, which is also serious work, but it's kids. I mean, you can choose to be unserious and they'll be kawa. But take us through your mind preparation process, because I am one of those people who, because I love spaces, my physical space has got to be organized a certain way for my mind to function a certain way. And so if it's not prepared that way, there's going to be a very big disconnect. How I deliver, how I think about things, order in the physical space directly correlates to order in my mind space. Is that the same for you? Or how do you prepare for your week, for example? How do you prepare your mind to be excellent throughout the week?
Those are so many questions. Those are so many questions. But I'll start with the issue of order.
Yes.
Human beings are different.
Yeah.
And so there are people who the physical space must be organized and look a certain way for them to deliver in a certain way.
People.
And you're those people. And then there are people who the physical space, it doesn't matter, or it has to look a certain way that the rest of us might think is disorganized, but in that disorganization there is order. Yes.
Order in disorganization.
Yes, so it's a chaotic order. And so for such people, when you meet them, for example, and you say you are going to organize their desks, they would be heavily offended. Because when you decide to organize them, you disorganize them. So people create order in their own beautiful, creative ways. Some of it is in a way that you can see this piece and this piece, and in certain ways you may not be able to make sense of those pieces, but in their heads it makes sense. How do I prepare for my week and for my day? First of all, I have a calendar. I'm one of those people who does not understand why people have smartphones and never use their calendars. Yes. So I have a calendar, and every time I schedule a meeting or an event or anything with someone, the first thing I do is open my phone and put it into my calendar. Yes. If you don't see me putting it into the calendar, trust me, I'm going to forget you. Okay? And so if you're close to me and you think that I'm very, just say, Isabella, have you put it into your calendar? Because if it's not on my phone calendar, then it's not synced to my emails, and I will not see it again after that. So everything about my week starts with my calendar. So on Sunday, I'll go through my calendar and see, okay, what are the empty slots on my calendar? That helps me schedule and reduce double booking, because I'm also one of those people who can decide to triple book an hour, and that gets chaotic. But away from that, I also have books where my tasks are. So you know that I have so many books on my table.
Oh my God.
And people keep saying, but why do you have all those books? So I have a blue book, which is for things outside work. Then I have a black book, which is for work-related things. Then I have a little blue book, which is for Sunday school-related things. So I have books upon books. They are not labeled, but Isabella knows what is in those books. So anytime I want something, I know what book to go into. And that helps me. The other thing that helps me is that I usually create to-do lists. And at times my to-do lists go longer than 20 items. But the thing is, as long as it's on my to-do list, I will do it. There are things that keep getting bumped off depending on the issue of urgency, but I have a to-do list. If you're not on my to-do list, the chances that I will forget you are equally high, you know. So that's one of the ways that I try to train my mind. But after Friday, I have no to-do lists. Saturday and Sunday are times when I do things out of my books, away from my calendars. Yes. So I'm capable of having 4 parties on Saturday, and I will have energy to attend all of them. Because that is the only time that I do things really, really unstructured, in a very unstructured manner. Away from that, I have standard times for sleeping, unless it's the weekend. During the week, I really try to be in bed by 10 o'clock. I wake up like clockwork at 5 a.m., irrespective of what time I slept. So even if I slept on a report, so if there's a work assignment that has kept me going till about maybe 2 a.m. or something, or for some reason I can't sleep, I will still be up at 5. What that means is that because my body is built in a certain way, I must attempt to sleep in those hours. Otherwise, days that you find me and I tell you I have a headache, are usually signs that I have had a disruption in my sleeping patterns, because I wake up at 5 a.m. like clockwork, so I must sleep by 10.
So you mentioned something about to-do lists. So even before the to-do list, you talked about ordering people's spaces. So I worked with the Uhuru Institute so many years ago, and by default, just walking into the space, I would find myself rearranging their desks, because for me it's such a disorganized pattern, and I will not focus on whatever you're telling me if I do not reorder your space. Sometimes I catch myself in people's offices for a meeting and I'm moving little things around, like this is slightly out of order, it just needs to be, people have called it OCD. I think that it's just how my mind works in patterns. And so I can't do to-do lists, unfortunately, which is ironical, because if I have that kind of order, to-do lists just, I feel like I am too structured and I need to deviate from the norm. I feel like I am being ordered. My day is being, I know that I have to meet Bella, I have to meet, but somewhere along that day, I need to break that cycle for me to feel that I'm functioning. Yes. Now, I have seen you sit on panels, a million panels. I don't know how you do it, but oh my goodness. I also know that you have run a debate institution, debate clubs, debate association. Preparation for debate. How do you get your points in order? How do you know this is what I'm going to talk about? And when what you have prepared is not addressed and it's outside the norm. When you're on a panel on radio and they ask you a question you didn't prepare for, how quickly does your mind restructure for you to be able to respond?
How do you prepare, first of all? Preparation is a lifelong journey. Yeah. So you and I have attended Harvest Institute and we've gone through the 5 capitals. Yes. And we know that there's the intellectual capital. Yes. You grow your intellectual muscle every day. Yes. And so for me, one of the things that I do is that I read every day. It can be a book, it can be an article, it can be, but I read. If I'm not reading, then it's a podcast. Yes. And I read I read around themes. Yes. So for example, right now, I'm reading and listening a lot to leaders who are running Fortune 500 companies. Mm-hmm. And so after this phase, there'll be another phase. Before this phase, I was reading about people. Yes. Because I was having trouble understanding a number of people around me, and I was like, okay, there should be literature around how you deal with people. Yes. So I also read a lot. My previous reading theme was around people. I've read around leadership, I've read about business. And so the thing with preparation, you talk about panels. To be successful on any panel, to be able to talk about something does not mean that you prepare just the night before. Yes. It means that you should have had an interaction with knowledge over a period of time. Yes. And every day there's something that you pick up along the way. All that then helps you address issues that may throw you off balance in a panel. So for example, if you didn't prepare about an area and suddenly it gets picked up by the moderator, you have a data bank. You have in your head, you have a bank of information from which you can go and pick from the archives and be able to respond to it. But the other way that I also do it is for every panel I've sat on, and I keep telling people that people think that they wake me up and put me on a panel. Yes, there are certain panels I've gone to and I just woke up and I was unprepared. But one thing that I've never told people, and I'll tell you for the first time, that every time I do that for anyone, I feel like I didn't give them my best, even if they tell me you did well. Yeah. In my heart of hearts, I know I didn't do well because I didn't prepare for you. Yeah. If you tell me I'm supposed to come to your set, I must wake up in a certain zone. I must think through. I must say, what is that excellence that I want to achieve through this set? Yeah. And so it will come in through me paying attention to what I'll wear, me paying attention to maybe the documents that were sent to me, the concept notes, the programs. But also if I'm on a panel and I've been given a topic, it's about me reading about that topic and reading widely. One of the interesting people that I have met on this journey of knowledge is Richard Mugisha. Yes. He was formerly with the Open Society Initiative. Yes. And I remember Richard would tell me, Isabella, every time you're reading, if you go to Google, the first page of results that you pick are results that someone has paid for you to be able to access. Yeah. Okay, so that's indoctrination. So he told me, pass first page, pass second page, begin reading from the third search result, the third page of results. Yes, so that also means that you cannot depend on one piece of information because you do not know what the heart of that person was in writing that piece. So you have to read broadly. but also away from reading broadly. If, for example, someone is telling you, come and talk about maybe pennies, okay, no, come and talk about Kweshunga, okay? I cannot just prepare on what Kweshunga is and what Penny's thoughts on Kweshunga are. To be best prepared, I must also play devil's advocate in my reading. So you read for what you're doing, and then you get all the literature that goes against whatever you're reading, to be able to have a balanced views, because you do not know what you're going to meet on the panel, you do not know what is going to come up, you do not know what opposition you're going to face. And so preparing for a panel is not, it's fun because you read and discover a lot of things, but it takes time. And so I'm also one of those people who knows that if I'm not going to be able to give your panel time, I'll turn you down. Yes, because if I think that I won't have time to read, I would rather not. I'd rather not. It would be best if you got someone else who would be able to give you their all and their best for your panel.
Wow. I first of all, I'm even just tired thinking about I'm tired just thinking about the process of preparing your mind to be excellent. And I know that there are people out there who are thinking, oh my goodness, I've been invited on panels and I feel like I can never do it. I feel like I can't even sit on a radio talk show or on a TV show, or I cannot say anything. I feel like I have the information, but I don't have the courage to be good enough to articulate it. So, and that takes me into articulation, because you're very articulate, and I consider you one of the strategic and critical thinkers of our time. I've listened to you talk to our staff here about critical thinking and about strategic thinking and developing that muscle and growing into that area. How do you help a person grow that muscle? Because yes, you said you read and you take some time to prepare and you do research, but what else? What if I have never sat on a panel? If I just sit and watch processes go by, I have never formulated an argument.
Yes.
How do you help me get into that space? Because mind spaces are spaces we invite people into and help them grow. The same way Richard held your hand and invited you. How do we help young people out there, old people? How do we help people out there begin to tap into that particular space of their lives and have their minds function?
Again, so you and I also have a lot of conversations on leadership.
Yes.
And one of my happiest laws of leadership is the law of process.
Yes.
And it's to say that this is not something that happens overnight. You don't arrive at it. So again, I'll talk about Richard. I met Richard while I was at the university. I think I was in first year. And I remember I would go to his office, and he had a beautiful office. You should have him for spaces anyway. But I would go to his office, and he would ask me questions. I would sit with him for about 2 to 3 hours. And there was no answer I gave that was satisfactory. And he kept saying, but why?
And you
but why? Yes.
Because what is wrong with this man?
You get.
Why is he over asking
And then
questions?
I remember there's this time we're talking about elections, and he told me, Isabella, elections don't make sense. And that was a time when I was in the thick of elections. And he told me, convince me they make sense. And we went for 3 hours, and he convinced me they didn't make sense. And I was annoyed. And so I went back and I read
about elections. I said, we need to come back.
Have this conversation again. And so one of the ways that you grow your stability in articulation of thought is to practice with your peers.
Yes.
It is to say that how many times a week do you hold intellectual conversations?
Yes.
I have spaces which are purely intellectual in nature.
Yes.
Like I go there and we don't talk about anything else.
Not
but
the traffic, not
nothing,
the weather.
no.
Just
We push
intellectual
people's mental capacity in those spaces. And so if you have a space, or you have a friend, or you have a person who pushes your boundaries of thinking at least once or twice a week, you're exercising your brain well enough. And the thing with the media and the thing with panels is that even I get scared when I get onto a panel.
Yes,
There are panels I go to and I'm like, and I'm shivering and I'm saying, I wish I didn't have to hold a microphone. I wish it was just a microphone that had been attached to my outfit, because you're literally scared. So you can imagine you're dealing with the jitteries of the information that you've been collecting. And then there's all these people, some of whom are experts and and they're looking at you waiting to hear what you're saying. And then if you're on TV, you're dealing with a TV set that has over 6 cameras looking at you, and the crew is looking at you, and they're like,
what are you saying?
Okay, and then you're on radio, and you're not the only panelist. There are all these people who have such beautiful brains.
They have a wealth of knowledge.
And so the pressure is your lack of information is the least of your problems. Even like there are all these other things that you need to deal with. And so when you normalize having intellectual conversations, when you normalize saying that, asking yourself questions that people do not ask on a daily basis, like saying, okay, how does electricity affect a girl's completion of school? That's a question no one ever asks, you know, or people rarely ask. If you begin to say, okay, how does the order on my desk affect my output? That's a conversation people rarely ask. When you begin to ask questions around why do I think the way I think? Why do I carry my names? Why am I even proud of my names? Like there's a lot of boundaries and barriers that you can push in terms of knowledge that help you exercise your intellectual muscle. I have had conversations with myself, for example, around why I'm a Christian. I am a Christian, by the way. I believe in God. I'm not about to walk away, but I've asked myself, but why am I a Christian? And if I had the choice to take this away from me,
what would change?
What would change? Would I
and
walk
those
away?
are very good conversations to have with yourself.
Yes,
because
they're
it's
very
introspection.
difficult. Yes, they're very difficult conversations to have. I've had conversations with myself and I've asked myself, okay, what if the Bible was written by me and Penny? What would it look like?
You know, I know what it would look like if a woman had written the Bible.
Because we've had that conversation with you and Maria. And so intellectual is not just academic. It's about everything. Why do we have orange chairs? Why did this person mix orange and brown and not brown and black? And there's so much. But the thing is that you must want to invest in the growth of your brain for it to grow. Okay, you must want to invest in it for it to be able to store knowledge. You must want to invest in it for you to begin to look at things in a different way. And the way you invest in it is through the conversations you have, through the books that you read, through the literature that you choose to interact with, the people that you listen to, through the podcasts, the YouTube videos that you listen to. All that adds on to your knowledge base, and all that makes you, it gives you more comfort, because when you have a lot of knowledge, you're more comfortable sharing it. But that notwithstanding, there are people who are not meant to be on set. And I say that from a place of, there are people whose expression is in words. And they write so beautifully. If you put them on a set, you would destroy them. You know, you would destroy them. And that doesn't mean that if you coached them and they wouldn't be able to do that. They would be. But maybe you should ask them to write more books. Maybe we need
and not push them into the spaces where they're on the spotlight.
Yes, that is true. So it's also important that you know which people can be nurtured, which people shouldn't be, which people don't need nurturing. But then also, there's the arrogance that comes with knowledge at times. That we have people who know that, yes, I'm intelligent, I have all this.
I know I am.
And then they
wake me up at midnight and I can just do this.
Yes, and usually the challenge with that is that when you reach that level, then you stop growing. You say that I've reached a place where I don't need to add to what I have. And that's a dangerous place to be, because then you become too assuming. You become too comfortable. You begin to make you begin to make very many assumptions about things, and you don't back them up with knowledge,
about life,
which is a very dangerous place to be. So also there's that danger of people who are so intelligent that they choose not to be humble or not to have humility in their wisdom, and that becomes dangerous.
Is also a danger to the people themselves, because with that comes isolation. And with isolation, I read recently somewhere that, you know, character is the only skill that cannot be grown in isolation.
Isolation.
You need to be around people. And so if you cut yourself away from people, then you begin to get mental health challenges. And I'm not saying that mental health issues come because you're too intelligent and you're failing to connect with people, no. But it's a contributor when you cut yourself away from people because you think you know it all. And that really takes me into probably what I've been thinking through even as you spoke, how you take care of the mind. Because you see, we like to take care of spaces, we like to take care of people, we like to take care of everything else but our minds. That I will feed right, I will go and eat the right food, but I do not intentionally do it to take care of my mind. So you as Isabella, how do you take care of your mind? I know you said you sleep on time, you sleep within certain hours, you read, so you're exercising that muscle, you're feeding your mind with the right information. But what else do you do to make sure that your mind is beautifully taken care of? The same way I wake up and do makeup and say my face has got to look a certain way. How do you do that for your mind?
I believe that our minds need a balanced diet. The way your body needs vitamins and carbohydrates and proteins, your mind needs a balance of a lot of things for it to be healthy. So if you're feeding it with just a certain aspect of stuff,
I only read the Bible.
that is dangerous. Your mind may be suffering from mental kwashako or mental scurvy or something like that, because it needs a balance of things. So one of the ways I
read
take
history because I'm a historian, so I will only read Bismarck.
Yes. So one of the ways that I take care of my mind is to say that I have, like I said, I read themes. So after a theme has passed, there's another theme that comes in, and then I'm building knowledge around that theme. But then I also acknowledge that there are things and there are people who are toxic to my head. And so there are people I just do not listen to. I told myself, I know that I'm supposed to love you,
but I shall not allow you to poison my mind.
Yes. So there are people I just don't listen to as a rule. There are groups, for example, and this is something that is common for everyone who may be watching, that all of us belong to a certain WhatsApp group. And there are people in WhatsApp groups who are just weird. So there are people in certain groups I don't interact with
I don't
them.
like WhatsApp groups.
I'm
always leaving.
However, I don't care what they are saying, I shall not engage. If someone else comes into that conversation, I will engage with this person, but not with, like, I don't care how noble your conversation is that day, because there are people who are just toxic. There are also people who just send stuff, and you know that Penny has sent a video.
They just want to trigger.
Yes, never open any of the things that they send. And then also, it's to say that there are spaces which I don't go to, because there are spaces that negatively affect your mind, you know. You go to a place and all they're doing is spewing negativity, and so those spaces, no, I also don't go to them. But I also read the Bible a lot, because I think that the Bible is my detox, and I detox
and
so regularly.
It's a comprehensive book. It talks about health. It talks about, you know, all the things
that,
you can find in the Bible.
Yes.
That's not to do Kalango for the Bible, but also to do Kalango for the Bible, just saying.
Yes, but then also one of the things is that I am deliberate about the knowledge that I take in, and I'll just like talk about how deliberate I am. So I read lyrics of songs.
Wait. Like, do you read like peruse?
Yes, Penny. I know. I go through.
Read to underline and understand.
I need to know what you're saying to me.
As in
your song.
It's just a song.
No, you see that's the thing. It is not. It's not, because here is the thing. Our minds are so powerful that if you get your mind to get accustomed to getting and doing, you get, then they do that. So for example, I will tell you about you. Every time you say, Isabella, let's have a meeting. Like wherever I am, the first thing I do is get a book and a pen. Why? Because unlike me, who writes my to-do lists? For your to-do lists are ever emerging.
Yes.
You get it? So my brain also knows that when Isabella is meeting with Penny, there are like 6 things that will come out
are
of
going to come out even while she's talking.
even from her 5 minutes conversation, the 10 things that are going to come out. And I need to tell my brain that whereas Penny will mention these things and move on to the next thing.
Because you're covering them, I'm done.
My head is to say that, Akiteng, you do not really have the luxury of moving on. You must bring these things to life. You get it? So my
need
brain,
to repent.
no, you don't have to repent. It is to say that my brain is built to hear and do. Okay? Now I cannot tell my brain that you can only hear and do at work. You can only hear and do in church. You can only hear and do. It is to say that brain, whatever comes in, you're getting it and it is to be done. So I need to be very conscious about what goes into my head. Because I may unconsciously begin to do things and we may be wondering what happened along
But
the
you
way.
see, it's really strange, and I'm really fascinated right now because when I listen to music, for example, when I watch a movie, and that's the thing, that's why I will never remember a movie title. I will never remember actors and actresses. I cannot.
Yes, me, I sing.
Because
I sing.
So that's the thing.
The
For
opening.
me, my mind does not process actors and actresses and titles. My mind processes the process behind everything that's happening. And so when I'm listening to music, I'm listening to the instruments, I'm listening to the things behind the words. What is that thing that they did that's unique and different from the other song? Yeah. How is the progression of the keyboard? How is that? There are things I'm hearing. I'm hearing all the guitars and how they sound. I am here the detail.
I don't hear
and notes. And then if you ask me what the song says, I will tell you the tune. I can sing the tune. I can tell it to you even in my sleep. Ask me what the words are, I'll be like, So,
yeah, I can give you all the words.
And you're the people who had those books with lyrics in school, 96 books with all these lyrics for songs.
Yes.
Oh my goodness.
Because by the time I sing any song, I know all its lyrics.
Oh, wow. But isn't that beautiful? Because that's how minds work. It's so strange that even as our minds work differently and we all connect in different mind spaces, there's a connection at the end of the day. Yes. That it's complementary, that we need people who think different from us at all times in order to build this space of intellectualism or this entire circle of people who are thinkers.
I have a question to ask you.
Yes.
Do you have a playlist for washing clothes?
So leave me alone.
So when I'm doing housework, there are specific songs that I listen to, and they're usually energy-giving songs. Like there are things that are saying do like this. You know, like there is a thing.
Because if you don't listen to that kind of music, you're not going to do that.
Let me tell you, Sanyu, I told you, my head, what goes in is what comes out.
So first of all, I don't have playlists. That's one thing, because I do have playlists, but my friend Maria keeps saying, what is wrong? Because my playlist will start up in worship, and then we shall go to Chiki Bombe, and then we shall go to some random secular song, and then we shall go to Zumba, and then we shall go to soul and zouk, and then we shall go to... There's not a structured. Because my brain does not work like that.
So you also taught me that.
You have to be disruptive.
You taught me that, and I have a weird playlist. Like no one in my family understands my playlist because I can move from one thing to the other. But when I'm washing clothes, there are specific songs I listen to. When I'm doing housework, there are specific songs I listen to. It's just like on a day when I feel like today the day has just been good. I have songs that I listen to.
So you have your feel-good music and you have your...
Yes, and it's very, but yeah, because my head works in a certain way.
I understand the playlist thing because I mean, growing up every Sunday morning, as a ritual, every Saturday and Sunday morning at home, my mom would wake up and play Dolly Parton music. And that's what we, like, you would know it's a Saturday morning and you're supposed to do housework like this because the Dolly Parton music would be on highest volume and you would only hear it Saturday and Sunday. Not that the other days we didn't do housework. Yeah. But Saturday and Sunday were general cleaning days.
You needed
Oh, you
inspiration.
need to clean every corner of this house until I can see myself in the floor. So, you need a certain energy, please, to deliver that
You
work.
get it. You get
And
it.
so I know that there are people who work like that, but I'm not those people, unfortunately. Everything works for me, anything works for me. I just need to convince my mind that this is going to work, and we will do it. We will just dive in. Even when it's a boring movie, I just need to convince my mind, Penny, we can watch this thing. We can literally make sense out of this thing, and we will do it.
Yes.
And we will sit through it, we will learn from it. So I guess it also goes into adaptability and so many other things. But wow, just wow.
But yeah, what goes in, what is what goes out. So, and then also you asked how another way that I protect my mind. There are days that I wake up and I'm in a silent place the whole day, like for 24 hours. I am in silence, no music, no nothing, nothing, just
I
me
think
and
I would die if I were silent like that, but let's not even tempt me to do that. A friend of mine has been convincing me to go on a silent retreat. This is a space where you go for like a whole week, no talking to anyone, not even to yourself. Like you can't even say, okay, let's just jazz and laugh because other people are not talking to us. You're just silent, listening to your thoughts. I can only do that in meditation for like 1 hour at most, and it's still oppression. So I am not those people. My mind is always working. My mouth is always talking. And so I cannot do those things these people in these headspaces do, and I have allowed. So I want to thank you so much, Bella, on that note, before you take me into a silent retreat. I want to thank you so much for joining us.
Thank
and just
you
before
too.
we go, I want you to say one thing to people who are struggling with their mind space, or they feel like they're not good enough, or they probably feel like, this headspace thing is not my thing. Just one last shot.
should have asked me to think through something for that day. But one of the things that I love telling people is take time to sit with you. Take time to hear what your head is telling you. Take time to hear what your heart is telling you. Block out the people, because usually the outside voices are much louder and more dominant than the inner voice. And I can bet that your mind is telling you that you're great. Your mind is telling you that you can stretch me a little more. Your mind is telling you you can read this book and finish it. You can dare to think in another way. You can dare not to think in a linear way. But that can only happen if you get to know you, get to know Isabella, and not the Isabella that Penny knows, or the Isabella that Zahara knows, or the Isabella that my parents know, but the Isabella that Isabella knows. Because somewhere in there is the gem that you are that needs to come out. And the world, yes, can be your cheerleaders, but it's only you who can run that race and come out. Yes.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And people,
I want to hug
this
you.
is... Do you see how disruptive she is? Anyway, as we conclude, I just want to thank you so much for being with us. Please, please, please take care of your mind. The same way you're feeding your body with this whole balanced diet, you're going to the gym, you're eating right, you're being paranoid about your body and how you look. Please be paranoid about how your mind is taken care of, and grow yourself into a certain mind space that's excellent, that's amazing, that's beautiful, that when you speak, people want to sit and listen to you, that when you open your mouth, people are like, she's wiser than her elders. He is wiser than his elders. And that's the kind of space that I wish for you this week. Good luck as you exercise your mind muscles and take yourself into spaces where you thrive, you grow, and you excel. Thank you for being on Kweshunga. Until next time, bye.